I fixed that up. This is, so we're going to tell you a little bit more about structure detection. This is a tour of things, is where we're going. So we're trying to find these shapes. And this little character here is, often what we're trying to do is we've got some adjacency matrix for our network, and we're basically trying to shuffle the indices such that we get something that's close along the diagonal, right? We want, if there are really these sort of four main groups, then we should be able to shuffle it. You know, if we randomly shuffled the order of everything, this would be just a big, snowstorm. And then if we find the right ordering, we should be able to see these kind of like these nice blocks appear around the diagonal, meaning that there are a lot of links between these nodes and within that group. There are some across groups, but we should be able to see that, and we should be able to see sort of a modular thing. So just a bit of a tour. I'm going to take you on to see what people have done. We've talked about this, Zachary's Karate Club, sort of this basic example. And there are a couple approaches. Very useful thing is Ward's method, which is an agglomeration one. So you sort of just include the most important edges and add them and add them, add them, and you sort of slowly build the thing up. Or you could do this approach, which is to break things down. And we talked about betweenness centrality, and that is the idea here. So what we're going to do is measure the betweenness of all of these edges, or compute it for all of these edges, right? And again, that is, we go to every pair of nodes, and we find the shortest path. So it will be here, probably. You know, these two nodes, you know, that's actually the shortest path. This would take long to get through here, so we'd go this way. We put one bean here and one bean here. We do that for all of them. We talked about different ways of doing that. And then you get the link with the highest betweenness. Maybe it's this one, and you just simply cut it out and then remove it. And then we do that betweenness computation all over again, right? You have to start again. You can't. I mean, I guess maybe you can do some very clever things, but generally speaking, it's best to sort of just start again. You know, and if, for example, if you've removed these two edges, then suddenly getting from here to here has to go through this place. So all of these edges will suddenly, this one in particular, will be loaded up in terms of travel. So again, betweenness is a bit odd, right? Because you're putting this very artificial travel structure or message passing structure on top of a network, saying that it is meaningful, but we'll see that it's fairly robust, actually. Okay, so we talked about this, and then the idea was, as you take these edges away, eventually you'll get them breaking. You'll get this big network breaking into two disconnected components, and then one of those will break into two more. So that's what's happening here. As we go down, this is the number of edges, fraction of edges removed, 0 edges removed, one or 100% of them removed, all the way down. And so as we go down, we start to see that up here, all of the nodes are, so let's say up here, all of the nodes are in the same team. And then when we get to here, if we draw a line across here that says we find these two pieces, that means this group of nodes is one team, this group is another team, right? They've been separated. As we keep removing, doing this thing, recomputing betweenness every time, eventually then this one breaks into two teams, then this one breaks into two teams. And then we have this question, and I'm going to show this video and see what you think of this. You can tell me how terrible it is, but we need to find out, you know, we want an estimate. This is something that's argued about, of course. We want an estimate of when do we have the best or a reasonable unpacking of the structure, right? Is it that this network that we started with is really kind of 4 submodules, or is it, you know, maybe it's down here. Maybe it's better sort of thought of as something that's got 7 or 8 modules in it, and maybe then it's hierarchical. So how do you compute that, right? So at this point, when we draw a line across here, everyone, they're just their own little groups, right? There are no edges left, they're their own little groups. Clearly, that's not a very good idea of the structure, and here it's a big mess, everything's connected, potentially. Now, of course, even with a random network, you'll find structure, right? Random networks are random networks, right? They're just going to be a big messy thing, and using this kind of process, you will go from everything being connected to everything being separated, and we'll still, you know, potentially find structure, but we'd like to avoid that. So here's the effort of how we're going to do this. So this is just again to say we have to recompute betweenness. I think hopefully that makes sense, right? We just have to do it again. So an idea that was introduced is this modularity thing, and the notation is not great because this is an adjacency thing. Anyway, this is using. I should change that notation. I mean, I'm using things that match. Sometimes I'm using things that match the literature, but I feel like I should abandon this one. But anyway, it is what it is right now. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to show a video of this, me trying to explain this, and see if you can tell me if I make sense. So it's going to be this. What we're going to have now is EIJ is going to be the fraction of edges traveling between communities I and J. And so instead of a big adjacency matrix, now we're going to have a adjacency matrix at the group scale, right? We're going to say there are groups 1, 2, 3, and 4, say 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then instead of, I mean, it could be the number of edges. We're going to have the fraction of edges that travel between two groups. And so there are edges within groups as well, right? So we have some total number of edges in the whole system. There's going to be some fraction of edges that are internal to a group over here, internal to a group, and there's some fraction that go between them. Anyway, let me see if this video explains it properly.